Hey tennis fans, I'm Grace Carter and this is Tennis Now presented by Tennis Express. Tennis Express, order today and it ships today. As the 2018 U.S. Open beckons, today we're going to look at some of the tournament's long-standing records and ask the question, can these be broken? One thing we learned in tennis over the last 2 decades is this: records are definitely made to be broken, and here are 5 that could go up in flames in 2018. Most Open-era titles, men's singles. Jimmy Connors, Pete Sampras, and Roger Federer are all currently tied with 5 Open-era U.S. Open men's singles titles. But with Federer in such good form, he has won 3 of the last 7 major titles. We think he has a good shot at capturing his elusive 6th title in Flushing Meadows. Of course, Federer won 5 titles in succession from 2004 to 2008, but has not won the title since then. Over on the women's side, we could also see history as Serena Williams is aiming to break a tie with legendary Chris Evert for the most Open-era titles. Evert and Williams each have 6, and Williams will bid to win the title for the first time since she reeled off her 3rd consecutive U.S. Open. That was back in 2014. Which takes us to our next breakable U.S. Open record. Most years between first and last U.S. Open's men's singles titles. Now, if Federer does win the U.S. Open title this year, and no disrespect to defending champ Rafa Nadal or reigning Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic, who along with a few others also have very good shots to win, Roger would break the record for the longest gap in years between first and last wins. Federer's gap would be 14 years. Pete Sampras currently holds the record with 12 years between his first and last title runs. Okay, so next up, most years between first and last women's titles. Now we have a similar, albeit more remarkable situation over on the women's side because Serena Williams is once again going for major history at a major. If Serena wins this year, the gap would be even larger because she will have won the title 19 years after her first title. She already holds the record for longest gap between first and last singles titles, which is 15 years. Her first title was in 1999, and her last title came in 2014. Next up, most aces in a single U.S. Open tournament. Now, here's a record we think could be shattered, but it's not going to be easy. Pete Sampras holds the record at 144 aces at his last U.S. Open, and that was way back in 2002, an average of just over 20 aces per match. Well, John Isner struck 214 aces at Wimbledon this year, and he only needed 6 matches to do that. If John can average over 35 aces in a match like he did at Wimbledon, he would break Pete Sampras's record in 4 matches. Our next record is the longest singles match in U.S. Open history. Now, we think this is a breakable record. Given trends of modern tennis and the length of matches that we're currently experiencing these days, the longest match in U.S. Open history was played by Stefan Edberg and Michael Chang. That was way back in 1992. It lasted 5 hours and 26 minutes. This day and age, we've gotten a little used to these marathon matches, but not in New York, where this record has stood now for over 25 years. Is this the year we might see it broken? Well, why not? Shelby Rogers and Daria Gavrilova hold the record for longest women's singles match. That's 3 hours 33 minutes. They set that record last year in the 2nd round, and we think this record might stick for a few more years. What about the longest tiebreaker in U.S. Open history? Goran Ivanisevic and Daniel Nestor played a 38-point tiebreaker in their 1993 U.S. Open first round match, eventually won by Ivanisevic 20-18. Now, this is a tough ask, as we all know that tiebreakers rarely go over 30 points, but we're crossing our fingers for something a little bigger and better in 2018, perhaps on the newly constructed Louis Armstrong Stadium, maybe even under a roof. If the men can't do it, maybe the women can. The magic number is 32 points on the women's side. Maria Kirilenko won a 2nd set tiebreaker over Samantha Stosur back in 2011, but eventually she lost the match. Stosur went on to win the title. So there you have it, 5 records that may be broken at this year's U.S. Open. Thanks for watching Tennis Now TV, everybody. We'll see you next time.